Welcome back to Cocktails Code and Conversation. Coming up this week on the podcast, we've got special guest Belinda Enoma, and she is dropping some gems. Can't wait for you to listen to this conversation. So hope you enjoy. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by the On the Corner Podcast Network, brought to you by On the Corner Media. Check us out at onthecorner.us for all the latest, greatest content. And of course, check out the C3 merchandise store. Get your official C3 gear. We just celebrated C3 Day. Don't worry, it's going to be coming up again next year. So make sure you don't miss out. Get your C3 gear so you can be an official part of the C3 squad and take place in next year's C3. Quick heads up that there were some problems with the video with this recording. So try my best to clean some of it up. So you're going to see some choppiness here and there, some frozen screens, things of that nature. But the audio quality remains intact. So again, hope you enjoy it. And let's get to it. We are back to the podcast. Yes. It has been so long. It has been so long since I got back to the actual interview podcast. And of course, what better way than to kick off coming back from this long hiatus than to have the wonderful Belinda Enoma on the podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, David. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So it has been a long time for my listeners since they've got this type of the podcast, back to the interview style podcast. It's been a trying couple of months, as my listeners know. I've been doing the weekly catch up podcast now, just to give everybody some good content so they don't forget my face or forget my voice. But we're back had to get the schedules up to get the interviews, and so now we're back. And so this is the first interview back, and I'm so happy that I get a chance to do with you. So I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself to everybody that's listening.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Belinda Enoma, and I am the founder of istartandfinish.com. It's a platform where you get inspired, motivated, you're pushed to take actions, to activate your goals and to implement them. And I'm in the privacy and cybersecurity space as well. And I do so many things, as David knows. So I'm just like, here, David, ask me questions. And here I am.
Absolutely. And I'm thrilled for this interview because, for me, it was, so like meeting you was like it happened at a milestone, right? For me, and which led to like the launch of this podcast and all these things. So I'm going to tell the story for all the members that are listening. So Belinda and I met at a conference, and now I'm going to forget where it was. It wasn't New York. Might have been.
I think it was New York. It was one of those cybersecurity events.
Man, maybe it was New York.
It was New York, cybersecurity.
Okay. All right. So it was New York. All right. So, and it's crazy every time I go to New York, because when I go to New York, it's only for a conference. I'm only there for like a day or two. So I've yet to still really experience New York. So one of these days I will, when the world opens back up again and it's safe to, be around people. But so I was there at a cybersecurity event in New York, and I was speaking at the time. I'm pretty sure I was working at Cellpoint at the time.
Yeah.
And, we connected because, of course, there's not a lot of, people of color
right.
in this field. And then specifically when you get to these events and speaking and things like that, you just don't see a lot of us.
You don't see a lot of us there.
Yeah, right. So they came up to me and we struck up a conversation, and it was just, same thing for me. It was so happy seeing somebody else of color that was like in the field and excited, because I don't, as the time, as much as I was speaking, like, maybe 1 out of every 5 conferences, right, I would see like 1 or 2, right? So, so we ended up connecting, and we, exchanged information, and just telling about what she did, and I went to her website, iStart and Finish, and it just, man, I'm telling you, it hit me, because I was just like, man, like, this is, I love that, she had her own, whole brand, and she was building, her voice and like the things that she was doing. And, it really kind of inspired me. There was a bunch of things that I wanted to do that I felt like I could, bring some value to, but I had allowed, like, kind of corporate America to pigeonhole me into like, oh, I'm just this one thing. Right. And this is all I can do. And so it was after that and following Belinda that I got inspired. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing, more things and putting a plan together. And so that, launched my website that I put together, that launched this podcast. And I just started to continue to build from there, and to much like you do, like to start to inspire other people that it's like, look, you can, you can do all these things, right? My slogan is an individual can be, many things in one lifetime, right? You don't have to let, what a certain skill set is or anything like that define who you are. You can, the type of things that you want to do. And as you grow as an individual, as a human being, things are going to change, right? I mean, we're all kids, like everybody would say, I want to be a firefighter, a policeman, or astronaut, or whatever it was, right? And not those are bad.
Right.
But then it changed, right? We got older. Now I want to do this, or now I want to do that. And so, that's it. Just goes to the possibilities of the world. That as long as you kind of put your mind to it, right? That you start and finish.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about what you're doing now, as with the I Start and Finish brand and things of that nature. Some of the things that you're into.
Okay, so some of the things that I'm doing is, for example, I am teaching women in this privacy and cybersecurity space to utilize their gifts and talents beyond their 9 to 5, beyond what they're doing in their daily roles.
Right.
For example, there are a lot of people who are gifted in many aspects outside of what they do every day. Some people play saxophone, they have gigs in all these fun places and, do all these wonderful things, but nobody knows that they do those things where they work, because most of the time, some of us are raised with the mentality that you don't need to shine your light so much in the workspace, because if you do, there's going to be jealousy, or there's going to be a witch hunt or something. No, you don't want to shine because, people are going to be jealous of you and all that stuff. But I teach women, I said, listen, you've got to be intentional about your visibility.
Right.
It's so important, regardless of the industry, regardless of whether you're male or female, whatever, wherever you are, whoever you are, you have to be intentional about your visibility, because you have one life to live. Yep. This is it. It's not a dress rehearsal. You've got to do it now. This is it. I tell people all the time, I said, listen, you've got to maximize the small window, because now is a small window. It's a fleeting moment. It's now. Now is now. You've got to utilize it. You've got to do it right now. Don't procrastinate, because a lot of people procrastinate. Yeah. I'm going to do it next year. I'm going to do it when the kids go off to college. I'm going to do it when this. You don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
You don't even know what's going to happen next year. All of us last year, we were rejoicing entering the new year. We never knew what was coming.
Right.
For us. In the pandemic, we didn't know what was coming. So you can say, I'm going to do this next time. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You don't know what's going to happen. So start now. Do what you've got to do now. Don't delay. Yes, I'm not advocating for people to leave their jobs. I'm not advocating for people to say, oh, they hate their jobs. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is, you're in your space. You're in privacy and cybersecurity. But there is more to it. There's more to life than where you are. And you know it. And there is more to it. Because by the time you finish your work, you're like doing something totally different. There's some people, the moment they finish at 5, they start another life.
Right.
They start another life. They start another profession. After that, till midnight, whatever they're doing. And they're passionate about that space. So how do you combine both without people thinking you're crazy? So that's how I started my brand. I startandfinish.com, because I am passionate about different things. And there was a time, and I wrote about this a while ago. I said, once upon a time, Belinda used to have difficulty shining her light in the professional space because of her diverse experience. It's like a story. Once upon a time, this was my life. But now I am intentional about being visible. I'm telling people you got to be visible. And I say, listen, is either you're going to do it or you're not. You got to do it, go big or go home. This is it. It's not a dress rehearsal. This is your life. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how long you're going to live. You don't know. So just do it now.
Right. Absolutely. So, so many follow-up questions. Let me try and get them. So I'm gonna do background first, and then I'm gonna come to another question. So, cybersecurity and privacy, right? Is that's your kind of talk me through the backstory of like how you got involved in that field, right? What called out to you that says, look, this is a field that I want to get into and start to work.
Okay, so my background is law. And then from law, I now went into IT, information technology, and I did front-end development, software testing, QA. I did all the fun stuff. And then after a while, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go back to law. I'm going to go back to it. But in the meantime, even though I went back to it, I was still doing my front-end development stuff on the side, still, doing my thing. And then a lot of people would ask me, so what is it today? Is it law or is it IT? Which one is it? And I'm like, stop asking me all these questions. Stop asking me. Just let me be me. I love my life. Just let me be me. So anyway, one day I started doing some research and I was like, I've got to find a way to merge all this experience together. I've got to find a way. So I came across privacy. So when I came across it, I was like, this is something that I've been interested in for a while. I just didn't pinpoint, how to do it. So I took the certification and all that, and then I got into cybersecurity, and that's it. So I found a way to merge it, but that didn't stop me from still building my brand, because I wanted a place where you could go to istartandfinish.com, and when you go there, you see everything about me, and you don't have to figure it out. It's right there. So you don't have to ask me any questions anymore. That's what I say to people. I say, don't ask me, just go to istartandfinish.com.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I want to real quick shameless plug that it's not even a shameless plug. But I love what you said, right? So you found this something interesting. You went and took the certificates, and then that's a great way for people to kind of get started if they're looking to get into this industry. So I'm going to give a quick plug for the Jumpstart Awards, and this is something I don't think since the last time we talked that we've been able to catch up on. So about a month ago, in partnership with a buddy of mine and his company, we launched the Jumpstart Awards, which is going to help six people, specifically women or people of color, get into the cybersecurity field. And so it goes to the end of December. All they have to do is, fill out, first name, last name, email address, do like a little quick, YouTube video of, why we should pick them. But what they're going to get is the recipients are going to get a full year's access to Coursera.org, which has a lot of cybersecurity and IT certificates and courses. And then the other 3 were going to get 6 months access. So, we decided, look, right, let's go ahead and put our money where our mouth is and start helping people to get there. A lot of people want to get started. It's like, well, I don't know, or I got to go take this class or this, whatever.
Right.
But the classes sometimes, or the certificates are expensive. So it's like, hey, look, let's give you that leg up. To one of your points, like that's maybe one of the reasons why people procrastinate. So let's remove that from them. So now you don't have to think about that paper, right? You can go get it done. And I want to lead that into, like, as you talk to people, especially if you talk to women, what are some of the things you tell them about, like how to get started? If you have somebody says, look, I want to do it, but I don't know where to get started, or they feel like, they're uncomfortable, kind of, with their voice just yet. What are some of the things you tell them that kind of help them, get started and get moving?
Well, first of all, is they've got to build their confidence. We've got to build their confidence, because a lot of times people reach out to me. It's because one of the reasons why they reach out to me is because they don't have the confidence to step out. That's one of the reasons. I ask them, I say, so how did you find me? And they say, I was Googling something and then I came across your blog, and I was like, oh, okay. And then they tell me about a particular blog post that I wrote, and they tell me that spoke to them, and they were like, you know what? I need to speak to her. I need to connect with her. So one of the things is to build your confidence. You've got to really understand that you've got it. You got to really believe that you got it, that you can do it. And sometimes you need somebody else to just help you, to push you, to say, you know what, you can do it. I have been there. That's why I shared that story at the beginning. I said, once upon a time, I struggled with shining my light in the space. I struggled. And the reason why I struggled is because I was like, you know what? People are going to think I'm not serious, because one minute it's IT, and the next minute it's law, and then now you're saying privacy, and then you're saying cybersecurity. So which one is it that you're doing? I struggled. I was like, they're going to think she can't make up her mind. She doesn't know what she wants. But I was like, you know what? This is my life. I'm going to be intentional about how I portray my life. And it's going to empower people. It's going to inspire people. And I'm going to put it on a platform that I can say, this is my brand. This is where you will find me. You don't have to figure it out. You just go to istartandfinish.com and read, and you will see, this is Belinda.
Right.
Yeah. So you've got to build that confidence, and you need somebody to show you, and don't be afraid to reach out to people, because you don't know. I said it to somebody this morning. I was chatting with somebody this morning. I said, we're one step away, just one connection away from somebody who can elevate your destiny. Just one connection away.
Wow.
One network connection, one connection away from somebody who can elevate your destiny, because you don't know who knows who can place you where you've been dreaming of, where you've been planning to be all these years. You have absolutely no clue. So don't be shy. Reach out to people, connect with people on LinkedIn, ask questions, comment on their posts, click like. If you don't click like, you don't comment, I don't know that you exist.
Right.
I check the insights and I see that people are looking at my stuff, but I don't know who you are. If you don't click like, I don't know you. If you don't comment, I don't know you. But if you comment and you click like, I check those things. I go check who's this. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh, okay. I need to connect with this person. That's what I do. So be intentional, be bold, have that confidence, and reach out.
Belinda is dropping gems this morning. Dropping gems. Not playing no games, people.
I'm telling you, you gotta do it. This is it. Go people, go home.
That's right. It was amazing. And so I'm gonna have so much fun on the post edit because I got my camera working back again.
Oh, okay.
But I'll fix it all up, or I might not. I mean, this is, you know, one of the things that I love about this this arena, kind of getting into this like content creation and talking to people is you know, being able to give people like authentic conversations and authentic things. Like if you've worked in tech long enough, you know that nothing ever goes right. Things are always going to mess up. And it's just about, you know, persevering and continuing to keep going. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'll probably try and clean this up a little bit, or I might just drop it out. Like tell people like, look, because audio was clear and the gems were still dropped. So you got,
okay.
So I want to, I do want to go back to one of the things you talked about with, you know, coming into 2020, which as we're now like on the, you know, the last month out of this year. But it was, you know, I think this year, I mean, obviously this year was, you know, traumatic and life changing just for everybody, right? We just,
everyone.
We saw something in this world that we you know, we hadn't witnessed in over 100 years. And it kind of made everybody, you know, in all aspects, kind of take a step back and look at everything. But, you know, specifically, I was thinking about it the other day. I remember how like this time, you know, last year, everybody was like, oh, 2020 vision. And,
exactly.
Right. There's going to be all these things. And,
yeah.
Right. And you know, I'm combining two quotes here, but everybody had 2020 vision. So somebody get punched in the face in 2020. David is like swung at us hard. And so, but one of the things that I think, you know, that looking back that I take from all this is how did you adjust, right? It's, you know, one things I do at the end of the year, and I know a lot of people do this, but I don't really go into resolutions, but I always take a reflection back at the end of the year and say, okay, what did I do this year, right? What did I accomplish? What didn't I accomplish? What are the things that I set out to do? And you know, if there were things that I missed, why did I miss them? And I really just use it as a time of reflection, and then kind of, you know, reset my energy and my path going forward next year, right? You know, like I said, I avoid the resolution things because New Year's resolution, oh, I'm going to do this or whatever. And I make a full out plan. Like, here are the things that I want to do.
Oh yeah.
As I started thinking about that, right? Like, you know, 2020 was just a year of adjustment, right? I mean, we all
absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like, so how solid is your plan, your determination when things that you counted like just totally went left? So with that mindset, just tell me about some of the adjustments you made, you know, for 2020, right? As you kind of came into the year and things started to change, you know, what are some of the things, you know, opportunities that you saw or things that you kind of made your adjustments to in 2020?
Okay, so for me, what happened was I had all these plans, just like everybody else. That's what I was saying, that, you know, we were all planning all this wonderful stuff. I had like, because I host conferences, I host a global conference that it's in different cities. So I had all these events planned, paid for the venue and everything, paid for the venue, planning to travel, you know, thank God I didn't buy the ticket. You know, so planning to travel, like, okay, I got these dates and getting the speakers and paid for the venue and everything. And then the pandemic and all that. And I was like, you know what? It's interesting. You know, I had to adjust. And something that helped me is in this pandemic, I call the pandemic the sanctified pause. That's what I've called it. The sanctified pause, meaning God forces you to stay in one place.
Right.
For reasons best known to him. That's the reason. That's like the sanctified pause, a place where you are forced to stay. You're forced to stay in one position, and it helps you to think about your life. It helps you to reflect about your life. It helps you to focus. It gives you clarity. Even in the pause, you can get clarity. Even in the pause, you will realize that things that you used to pursue that were totally unnecessary.
Mm.
In the sanctified pause. That's it. So I've learned in this space, looking back the year, I'm like January to December, we're in December, and there are lots of people who have lost so many things, lost people, and different things have happened in their lives. But for me, looking back and thinking, okay, so what have I achieved this year? I have achieved being alive.
Right.
That's an achievement. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Just thank God that you're alive. That's a huge achievement. That I tell people, I said, listen, the fact that don't feel that people who lost their jobs, don't feel miserable that you lost your job. Don't feel miserable that you feel alone and all that. The fact that you are alive is an achievement. A lot of people in the grave with their gifts and talents and everything in the grave, but we are here.
Yeah.
It's an achievement, and we keep pushing, we keep going.
Yeah.
We keep doing what we got to do. It's an achievement. Staying alive is an achievement. Got to do it.
I think absolutely. I think this year, it's always been said we should always be, thankful for the things that we do have been looking. And I think this year's made everybody really, truly, take a deep, hard look at that, right? Because you're, in the sanctified pause, right?
In the sanctified pause.
We were cut off from a lot of the things that, you tend to depend on for, connection or kind of giving you some sort of balance or grounding, right? I mean, if you look at it, it's for a period of time. I mean, it was like you couldn't go to restaurants, you couldn't go to churches, you couldn't go you
nothing.
So places where you simply connect with people. So it was really truly you and either your inner circle or your family within your house, or for those of us for those of us who are single like me, it was so I think it was right around the interesting thing for this year for me. It was in March, so my birthday's at the end of March.
Right.
And, my niece lives with me. I've been helping her just kind of get on her feet, but she had gone back to spend some time in California, like right before everything really shut down. So then she was stuck out there for a while, so about 6-7 weeks, right when this pandemic was like just hitting her. It was just me in my house, right? And so I'm used to being at the airport, traveling, going here, whatever. So I'm just like, man, and it was really much of this just kind of sit, and it's like, all right, this is it. It's just you, right? And so you get time to get with your thoughts. So I had time to reflect and think a lot about kind of what was going on, and I did myself one of the probably the best things I did was just a self-awareness check and a mental health check. It's like, look, I gotta check out from all this news, right? Not that I didn't want to
that's one, yep.
put my head in the sand, but it was also like I can't absorb all of this just negativity everywhere because people were scared what's happening, things like that. So so this year really was, I think, more so than any a year of reflection, right? And you saw a lot of people. I saw a lot of quotes kind of during the year of like, look, this isn't the time to some people were developing new skills, stuff like that. I even put out some posts. I was like, hey, you got some time, find some hobbies, do things like that or whatever. But to your point, also like, hey, just make it through. Like
that's it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's enough to just make it through and say, look, I'm here, and mentally I'm in a good space, emotionally and just physically I've made it, right? That is good enough. And so I think is, one of the things that I would say, tell people is like, going into this last year, like, give yourself a break. Like, we this entire world went through probably one of the most traumatic experiences, right? But yeah, but on the positive note, but we saw a lot of things, right? Especially in the tech world, we saw innovation happen, right? We saw the ability to respond quickly and to develop new ways to allow people to work and take up. And look, this has been a running joke, but it's for real, seriously, like Chick-fil-A is the best run business in the world, because I'm telling you, either A, they, you can believe the conspiracies, you can say they was in on it and they had the Illuminati plan and knew this thing was coming. They have They have the best disaster like implementation recovery plan, because literally between the time this thing hit and then like it seemed like for me, and it was probably longer than this, but it seemed like within a week, Chick-fil-A was like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this and we're gonna drop out curbside pickup and we're gonna do, I mean, they just had
Wow.
a plan for how they were gonna continue to serve food. And I was just like, this is crazy. Cause I will tell you, there was a couple of days Chick-fil-A, like, you know, saved my mental health. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to Chick-fil-A and get me some Chick-fil-A lemonade.
Right.
And everything was right in the world. So I was like, hey, I'm thankful for Chick-fil-A. But one of the things that I do want to you know, kind of ask you about, right? So obviously I know you do a lot of conferences with Power Women. Like, so looking forward, right? How is, if any, how has 2020 made you kind of like reimagine how you want to do things going forward? Like, you know, whether or not, you know, you want to start hosting virtual conferences, things like that. What are some of the things you've kind of, you know, reflected on and said, you know what, I'm going to start doing this now?
Yeah, absolutely. The sanctified pause. The sanctified pause had made me evaluate quite a few things, reevaluate quite a few things. And then 2021, I plan to have a couple of virtual summits, a couple of virtual summits. So in the past, you know, I had in-person events and traveling all over the place and all that. But now I'm like, you know what? Virtual summits, not bad, you know? It's not bad, you know? You don't have to be all over the place all the time. You gotta, like, you know, incorporate new things. And that's something that people have to learn as well, that even in the pause, there are opportunities in the pause. A lot of businesses have grown in this pause.
Yeah.
They've grown, you know, in the lockdown, in the pandemic, they've grown. So there are opportunities. Even in the dark place, there are opportunities. We just have to see them and grab them and go for it, you know. So that's one of the things I've learned, that virtual summits aren't bad after all, you know.
They really aren't. I think, you know, in the beginning, it was a little rough. The first couple I went to, I was like, all right, we were trying to figure out, people were trying to find the right platform. Like, you know,
Yeah.
your agenda has to change, things of that nature. But I think as we've kind of gotten used to it, right?
Right.
The platform's gotten a little bit better. We've kind of found our groove. And so it's very interesting to see that coming forward. And quite frankly, like one of the things that I look at is it forces you now to really uh, get creative and think about how you want to engage with your audience, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You don't have the aspect of they've flown here, they're in the hotel,
Exactly.
have them like, and I hate to say the word like track, but it's when you're at a conference, like you're there, right? So if like you don't really like something that's going on, you're gonna check in a little bit more because like, man, I spent $500 on this ticket or this, that, or whatever it is, like you're there. Now it's like, you know, they're at home, right? Either sitting in their room or in their office, and you know, something's not engaging, like, all right, I'm gonna go check out something else, or whatever. And you know, but it's very it's very interesting to see like a lot of things and creativity that people are doing to kind of create these. And so I'm interested to see obviously what you put together, because you know I'm a big fan, so I'll definitely support. And
I'll keep you posted, definitely. I'll keep you posted.
So one of the other things that I love to talk about on this podcast, right, is diversity and inclusion, because this is, especially in the tech field, the cybersecurity field, this is something that obviously near and dear to my heart, and has always been something that I have, you know, seen the issue, right, in our industry. But I've also, you know, I make no bones about the fact that I haven't always done everything I could to make it better. I wanted to get your thoughts on a recent article that was posted. So NASDAQ is put a proposal into the SEC. And what they want to do is they want to require all of the companies that they're listed to fill 2 seats on their board, one being a woman or from a minority group, so people of color or LGBTQ community, right? And so they want to have it as an actual proposal. And if you don't have it, you know, the stick is you'll get delisted from NASDAQ. Now, granted, they put in a lot of big things, like you can, I think they're going to give them, it's ranging anywhere from 2 to 5 years to meet it. And then if you don't meet it, you can kind of give reasons why or things of that nature. But the point is they put together proposals to the SEC. The SEC is reviewing it. So I wanted to, in that realm, right, as we've both been in this kind of cybersecurity realm and we've seen the lack of diversity, What's your opinion on things like that, right? So we've got NASDAQ saying, hey, look, we see it's a problem and we want to put together this proposal. What's your reaction when you hear that?
I think it's a good thing that the problem is being addressed, because it's been going on for too long. I think it's a good thing it's been addressed. But the thing we need to guard against is tokenism.
Yes.
That's my thing. It's like, guard against tokenism. Okay, so you're going to put one person or two people there just because you have to, and not because you're told to do it, not because you know that it's something you're supposed to do. That's a problem, So I'm like, okay, it's a good thing. It's a start. We have to celebrate starts. We have to celebrate it, but don't make it to be like, okay, because we're required to do it, then we're just going to do it. That's the thing. So we've got to really, I want corporations, corporate leaders to be intentional about to be intentional about change, be intentional about effecting change, and put your money where your mouth is. Don't say we're going to do this, and you're doing absolutely nothing, because we can see it. We can see it.
Yeah.
We can see it. We talk community. We talk in our community. We can see it. So if you say you're going to do it, then we're going to hold you to it. You better do it, or you're going to hear about it on LinkedIn that you're not doing it.
Right. And you know what? I think that's what I have loved, what I've seen more so this year than any other one, and it could be a little bit that I've been looking forward to, is that we are voicing the displeasure more, right? We are calling people out more on it. And while I am a fan of the proposal, and I like the fact that NASDAQ is looking at it and saying this is an issue. And look, we all know how corporations work, right? They're not going to, at the end of the day, if it doesn't bring them money or there's no kind of compliance issue, it's not something that's going to make the list. Like if it's just, I know people don't like to hear that. It's like, oh, this is what the companies don't do something because it's the right thing to do. They do it because it either profits them or they will get fined if they don't, right? That's just the bottom line. Now, companies are changing. They will say the right things in marketing, but at the end of the day, when you're coming down and making these decisions, a business entity is to run a business. You can't run a business if you're profitable, all these things or whatever. So I'm glad to see that the proposal put in place, but I agree with you. I do fear tokenism, right? I talked about it on my weekly podcast this week. One of the things that worries me about it is, like, so in the NFL, they did something similar, right? They called it the Rooney Rule, and they passed it like years ago, to where they said, look, before you hire a head coach, you need to interview a person of color, right? Make sure that they're in your process to create pipeline, to make sure that these general managers and these owners were actually interviewing people of color. Right. And so again, good idea, but then what happens, right? Check the box. Right. It became, oh, let me just go grab this person real quick, interview them for 5 minutes just to say I did it. And then, right. And so one of my first fears with this is that, okay, you push this through and the company say, okay, we'll do this. But now say, okay, well, I'm gonna go grab a woman or a person of color and put them on my board. Right. Now they're on the board, but do they have a voice? Right. Are they an integral part of the board? Right. And so that's the thing. Or are they just checking a box or doing tokenism and say, hey, look, we got it. Let me put their picture up on the website real quick and we're good to go. Now, granted, there's not a lot that NASDAQ or the SEC can do about that, right? That's the way the company implements it. Right. But we can, we can do a lot to, comment on the proposal, we as the public, to say, hey, this is some of the things we want to do. And then we've got to hold these companies accountable. We've got to, when it doesn't happen, like, hey, this is not okay. Right. And I think sometimes I've had this conversation, like, it's funny. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize how important that is to people. Right now, not everybody does it, but like me, like, if you're going to offer me a position, that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm going to your website. I'm going to the About Us page. And if a bunch of middle-aged white guys pop up, I'm like, I mean, that's the first thing I'm looking at. It was like, okay, like it's 2019, 2020. You don't have like one person of color. You don't have, a woman. You don't have any kind of diversity in your leadership, right? Like, so if that's the case, like, what drives how you think, right? How can you tell me you've got innovative and widespread thinking if I don't see any kind of diversity there, right? Those are some of the things that I look at. So going to be interesting. We're going to continue the fight. Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this wonderful early Friday morning conversation. That's why there's no cocktails, people. I mean, we could this early in the morning, but I got a long day today. But the question I always like to end on and ask everybody is, what do you want your legacy to be?
Right. Well, my legacy, empowerment, and for people to know that, that they've made an impact. Because I tell people all the time that it's not about, you can be intentionally visible with no impact. You can be present with no impact. You can be in the room with no impact. So let your presence be felt even when you're not there. Make impact everywhere you go. It's not about money all the time. It's not about making the loudest noise. Be impactful. What will people say about you? Are they going to be, when they mention your name, are they going to be like, oh my God, because of that person, I got to this level? Or it will be a situation where when they mention your name, people are running away. People are running away like, nope, I don't even want to hear that name. Don't even mention it. Absolutely not interested. But you want a legacy where when your name is mentioned, when you hear Belinda Enoma, you're like, yes, that's it. That's it.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Look, I think you are well on your way to that legacy. I appreciate everything that you do. And I've appreciated, since the day we connected, keeping in contact, your energy and the insightfulness that you bring. So if you inspire no one else but me, let me tell you, you inspired me to keep building, to keep putting a voice out there, to keep helping to inspire other people. And I think that the more that individuals like yourself and myself continue to do this, the more that we'll inspire other people in this industry to kind of keep getting their voices out there and things of that. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you for having me on the show. And one more thing I want to say to people is, don't hesitate to reach out to people on LinkedIn. It's so important. Connect with people, reach out to them. Everybody's not going to respond to you, but that shouldn't deter you from moving forward. Because if they don't respond to you, that's fine. Maybe they're not meant to be connected to you anyway, so that's okay. But don't stop connecting, because you're one connection away from elevating your destiny.
There it is. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much, Belinda, for hanging out this morning. For everybody else listening, you guys know what it is. To the next cocktail, to the next conversation. You guys stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Cocktails, Code, and Conversation is brought to you by the On the Corner Media Group. Check us out at onthecorner.us for more great content.